You'd have done better to rot in the undead asylum. But too late now.
Many of the myths that endure in gaming culture were born of a different era, a time when games weren't watered down by excessive in-game guides and needless handholding. Odd messages along with glitchy sprites and graphics gave rise to many popular urban legends, but over the past few years, that legacy of mystery has died a slow death as we've progressed through each successive generation of gaming. One game that dared to tap into this essence of classic game design was Demon's Souls. It was a sleeper hit that garnered a cult following, its slow-building success leading to the creation of its spiritual successor, Dark Souls. Both games thrive on abstract clues, brutal difficulty, and a creative form of online play. One of the series' defining qualities is the community it fostered. Players banded together in online message boards to conquer the likes of Sen's Fortress, Anor Londo, the Tomb of the Giants, and more. Deciphering cryptic clues and messages is all part of the challenge. This formula is also perfect for spawning a myth or two, and despite the community's combined efforts, one particular myth has continued to stump players for years. Leading up to the game's original release back in 2011, Dark Souls director Hidetaka Miyazaki teased players about an in-game item simply known as the Pendant, a trinket with no apparent use or value. In interviews with publications like Game Informer and Famitsu, he slyly suggested that players should consider the Pendant or nothing at all as their starting gift, as opposed to obvious boons like firebombs, a master key, or a magical ring. This sent players on a scavenger hunt to figure out the hidden qualities of the Pendant. The debacle over the in-game description gave the rumors extra potency. At one point, the description for the Pendant and another item, the Sunlight Medal, were identical. While some thought this was an unintentional bug, others took it as a clue. However, in the Prepare to Die edition released months later for the PC, the description was corrected and has been subsequently updated in the console versions. Miyazaki still threw more fuel onto the fire. Shortly after the game's release, when asked about the Pendant's use by Game Informer, he stated, "I am very sorry, I cannot tell you here how to use the item. I still want people to try investigating the meaning of the item. Please find it out on your own." Press outlets and fans alike hounded Miyazaki for months, culminating in his response to the outlet videogamer.com stating, "I'm not going to answer this question for the duration of my life."
There's no salvation here.
Of course, Souls veterans accepted the challenge to find it on their own, first discovering alternate ways to obtain the Pendant. Besides choosing it as a starting gift, it was possible to acquire it through two other means. It's a potential reward for killing an invader of the Dark Root Garden while part of the Forest Hunter Covenant. It's also possible to pick one up after letting Petrus kill Rhea in the Undead Parish after she sets up shop. Why would there be several chances to obtain the item if it weren't somehow important? One concrete use for the Pendant was unearthed, but it was hardly a revelation. If you trade it to the crow Snuggly at his nest in the Northern Undead Asylum, you receive a souvenir of Reprisal, an item used to level up in the Blade of the Dark Moon Covenant. Unsatisfied, fans continued to band together and pool their resources to solve the mystery, but each time they turned up empty-handed. Theories about the Pendant's true nature included it being instrumental in unlocking things ranging from a hidden covenant associated with the Pygmy to paving the way for an alternate ending. Eventually, others combed through the code of the various versions of Dark Souls and turned up nothing, which is usually the nail in the coffin for these types of myths. Despite all that has come to light since Dark Souls' release, this is still one of the most requested myths by our viewers. Though many have dismissed notions of a secret use of the Pendant, there are still those who suspect it still holds one last mystery. Given the forthcoming release of Dark Souls 2, we felt now is as good a time as any to dive into the darkness to find the light of truth. There are plenty of Dark Souls resources covering the Pendant. While many have closed the book on this troublesome trinket, several fan sites still claim the secret use of the item lies within an empty chest you can access after defeating Gwendolyn. The instructions say that first, you need to obtain the Dark Moon Seance Ring found in the catacombs, and make your way to Anor Londo. Near the second bonfire, you can use the ring to dispel an illusory wall. Behind this area, you'll face Dark Sun Gwendolyn. You must traverse the fog and slay the deity. After victory, you'll find 3 chests down the once infinite hallway. 2 chests contain items, the Sunlight Blade and the brass armor set. However, the third is empty. If you drop the Pendant into this empty chest and then reload your game, the site claims the game begins to bug out, producing strange glitches and inconsistencies. Like many other rumors circulating the pendant, this turned out to be another dead end. Even if the method had worked, the expected outcome would have fallen short of expectations. Fans didn't want to see glitches or bugs. They wanted to see what incredible secret would be revealed once the true use of the pendant was deciphered. Unfortunately, it was all for naught. In a 2012 interview with IGN regarding the Artorias of the Abyss DLC, Miyazaki broke his solemn vow not to reveal the pendant's true intent. He stated, "When it comes to the pendant, I actually had a little bit of an intention to play a prank." As we've warned before, sometimes developers play on fans' expectations and enthusiasm to keep the discussion about their games going as long as possible. We learned this the hard way when it came to Mega Man 9. Yet, it's possible there's more to this story. The pendant in Dark Souls apparently shares a connection with other games in From Software's library of RPGs. In the Japanese-only Shadow Tower Abyss for the PS2, there's an item called the Onyx Pendant that has no obvious utility, with every other item having a use by the game's end. In another From Software RPG, Kingsfield for the PlayStation, there's another pendant called Seath's Tear, though this item actually has a use. It can revive the player. Interestingly, Dark Souls contains a boss named Seath the Scaleless, who is immortal until you shatter his crystal. The essence of revival and immortality tied to the name Seath seems unmistakably deliberate. These references, while interesting tidbits, prove little in the way of whether or not the pendant in Dark Souls has some greater significance. Though Miyazaki finally tipped his hand, we're still curious about whether or not the pendant might play a part in the upcoming Dark Souls 2. We recently had a chance to chat with the director of the upcoming sequel, Yui Tanimura.
We feel that, aspects like the pendant that Miyazaki-san implemented, things like that are important. So we want to keep sort of those elements into the game to play with the players. So in terms of the fiction, in terms of the story, there's actually not a direct connection with Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 2. So we can't give you too many details right now, but it's not that they're completely separate. There may be hints, or we're thinking of putting in hints that may relate to the story of Dark Souls 1, or we'll keep you updated.
Considering how the developers teased fans the first time around, the answer doesn't surprise us. What is certain is that aside from its singular use, the pendant serves no larger purpose in Dark Souls. There's still a chance the relic will reveal its alleged secret in the sequel, but given everything that's happened so far, we're not holding our breath.